The next link in the main menu will actually give you the advanced parameters. Now this is something that you're not going to use very often, but it's actually good to know what's actually available there. So we'll go quickly through all of the available options here. The very first option is the configuration information, and as this suggests, you'll find all the configuration information right here. Okay, so basically there's the server information, the database information, store information right here, email configuration, our information, and this is probably the most important bit here, is to check your configuration, and we have the required parameters okay, and the optional parameters okay. If you scroll down, you find a list of changed files here, so basically this is like a small log here. Okay, we'll move into the performance now, and here first of all you find the option for the Smarty, so you can select never recompile template files, recompile them, or force compilation. Then you have the option to yes or no the cache, and you can actually clear it as well. Then we come to the debugging mode, and basically disable non-Prestashop modules, yes or no, disable all overrides, yes or no. Optional features, we come to the combinations, and probably this is the most important bit here. So basically you can select whether or not you would like to use the combinations, you can actually select whether or not you would like to enable the features, and actually to enable or disable the customer groups. Below that is something that's called CCC, combine, compress and cache. Basically you can enable the smart cache for CSS, you can enable it for JavaScript, you can minify the HTML, you compress the inline JavaScript into HTML, and then you have the optimization for the Apache as well. Then there's the media servers, and if you do have some of those, you can enter their information in this particular section here. Then we have something that's actually called the chippering, and basically this is to do with the algorithm, and you can actually choose between those two right here. Then we have the caching, whether or not to use the caching as well. Like I've said, the only thing here that's important when you're actually building your online store is the actual optional features, and when it comes to the combinations, features and the user groups. Alright, we'll move into the email section now. And basically this is also important because this is how you would be actually sending from where actually you'll be sending your emails, and basically you can send emails to customer service, or you can actually send it to the webmasters. So basically when the customer tries to contact you, by default the email will go into the customer service. You can always change it to the webmaster here as well, and also you can add a new recommended modules here. There's some information about the emails which are actually sent to you, so whether or not to use PHP's mail functions, whether or not to set my own SMTP parameters, and actually the last option here is never send emails. Okay, and then at the bottom you have the actual field where you would enter the email and test that email by actually clicking on the send an email test. Alright, so this is an important section of this advanced parameters menu. So basically you will come here, select which option suits you the best, whether or not to actually receive all the emails to the customer service or to webmaster. Set these options here, and then you can actually hit on this test email button here. Alright, the next option here is to import CSV, and basically this will give you all the required information about importing CSV and how to do it, how to add the files and whatnot. If you do not want to do this, I strongly suggest you leave it as it is. Then the next option here is the database backup. Before you actually create a database backup, you would have to read this information here and click on this button here as well. Here you'll find some more information, so how to restore a database backup in 10 easy steps, and here you have the list of all the database backups you have created. There's the age, the file name, and the file size. All the way to the bottom you'll find the backup options. Ignore static tables, yes or no, and drop existing tables during import, yes or no. Then we move into the SQL manager, and here you can actually go and create a new SQL manager, and you will do that by actually going and creating a new SQL request. Okay, then you come to the settings here, which will actually give you your default file encoding, and you can actually choose from those two options here. Once you're happy with how everything is looking, hit on the save button. Alright, the next option is the actual logs. So let's have a look at the logs. First of all, right at the top you have the severity levels. You have 4 different levels. Then you have the logs. This is the logs which have been created. There is the employee who created this particular log. There is our level of severity. There is the message, object type, object ID, error code, and the date. Moving down to the bottom you'll find the logs by email, and this is where you are actually going to set the minimum severity level. And this is the minimum severity level when the logs will be sent by the email. And like we have seen here, it goes from 1 to 4 by entering 5, level 5. This actually means never, so this is by default. So the meaning of this is actually never send logs by email. You can change this to, for example, 2, and as soon as there is a warning log, it will be sent to the email address you have provided. Moving to the last option, which is the web service, we'll actually see that I currently do not have any web services in my list here, and I can always create a new web service key by clicking on this menu button right at the top. Down the bottom I have the configuration section, which will actually give me the option to enable Prestashop web service, and it will actually give me the option to enable CGI mode for PHP. Once again, if you do not know what this means, do not change it, do not actually play around with it, as this actually might stuff up your online store, and having it by the default how it's been set up will actually allow you to have your online store up and running. So once again, it's a good thing to go through all the list and to see where everything is located. And probably the most important things are the email section here, where you actually select the emails recipients and you actually can test that. Okay, and then you can go into the database backup, so this bit here, that's also important. And in the performance, this section here, optional features, that's where you will actually set up whether or not you would like to have, you know, combinations, features, and the custom and groups. Once again, the advanced parameter section is actually designed to go into a bit more details and a bit more advanced settings for your online e-commerce store.